the record button. There we go. All right. I want to welcome all of you and thank you for joining our committee meeting today. We are the proud Food Protection Educational Collection Committee. The quick agenda for how our next hour is going to go. We're going to hear from my dear friend, Laura, here in Wisconsin. She works for Scogan's Festival Foods. Next up is Joanne, and she's going to be talking about the Ethnic Food Safety Toolkit. And then at the end, the last 10 minutes or so, we are going to have a committee year recap, and Autumn's going to go through and cover that for us. I'm waiting for Autumn to click on the next slide. So, as you know, I am one of the proud co-chairs of the committee. I'm Carrie Poila. I work with the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. Autumn Shuck is also my co-chair, and she actually works for AFDO. As I mentioned, the QR code, you can feel free to scan that. And this one actually, I believe, is the one to join the committee. We are always looking for new committee members. Also, as I pointed out, the resource handout on the right, we will reshare that, but that will get you to all of the resources that we have dug up so far as a committee. All right, without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Laura, and she is going to talk about what they are doing at Festival Foods. Laura, it's all yours.
Awesome. I have to share my screen. Give me 1 minute here. All right. All right. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for coming, everybody. My name is Laura Temke, and I am the Food Safety Manager for Scogan's Festival Foods. A little bit about me. I've been in the food regulatory industry world for about 17 years. So, over 20 years. The first 17 years, I was actually in regulatory. So at the county and city level, I worked for health departments, which is how I know a lot of the folks on the call. And then I've been in industry about 5.5 years. So I joined the festival team in July, and it's been really awesome. So thanks for having me present today. Today, I'm going to present on leveraging technology to train staff on food safety. We're going to do, let me skip slides. I'm going to, hold on. Sorry, technical difficulties. So I'll do just a brief introduction about the company, a little bit of history, a little bit about us, training the festival way, and then regulatory partnerships. And then I'll have a little bit of time for questions at the end. So the history of Festival Foods, I do want to talk a little bit about this just to give everyone kind of an idea of the company and kind of where we came from. In 1946, Paul and Jane Scogan borrowed $500 to open their first grocery store with the home attached, making their dreams of owning a business a reality. In 1975, the family opened their first IGA store, and Dave Scogan became the president of the company and continued to grow that. Then in 1990, the family notices a shift in trend and decided to change the store format, and the first Festival Foods was born in Onalaska. By 2006, there were 9 Festival Foods locations in Wisconsin when Dave's son, Mark Scogan, became CEO, and he continues to serve as president and CEO today. In 2022, under Mark's leadership, the company continued with its steady growth to 40 stores. And as of today, 2 additional stores will open this year with the count to 42. So that will be around the November timeframe. And then the Festival Foods brand promise, you'll see the 3 icons on here. And really this is who we are. Since the beginning, the company's philosophy has always been to take care of people, whether it's your employees, our associates, our customers, the community we're serving in. You will often hear our seniors leadership team say, we're in the people business. We just happen to sell groceries. And this is tangible in our vision and mission statements, our values, and our boomerang principle, like you see in front of you, where every business decision we make is based on the single question: will it bring the customer back? Under that premise, we treat our customers as guests and listen and respond to their needs, so they want to come back. So it's not a surprise that Festival of Foods, we have committed to providing the safest and highest quality food possible at all times. And obviously that ties right into food safety. So Festival of Foods is a full service grocery store. Most of you are familiar with those. We have scratch bakeries, farm fresh produce, homemade deli meals, grab and go, hot bar, obviously full service meat departments. And with that, doing it all, we have risk. So we cook, we cool, we reheat, we hot hold, we do all of those things in our stores. So training is very important to us, and it is obviously the backbone of our food safety. So training the festival way. So training methods, I do want to talk a little bit about the internal or the traditional training methods and like in-person type, but obviously the focus of this training is going to be on utilizing technology. Our internal assessments that we do are very risk-based inspections with an educational approach, very similar to what regulatory does. We obviously use the same food code, and what we are looking at in our stores is very similar. It's conducted by our own internal food safety team. We also offer certified food protection manager courses. And the best part about this is, even though it's obviously a format that is pretty familiar for most of you, this course is offered to our leadership associates, and it is a little it's not as traditional as you might see it in the field with some of the courses out there, because what we call festivalize it, meaning it is very much so tailored to our specific needs as far as standard operating procedures, and just specific to our company and how we operate, which makes it incredibly relatable for our associates. We're fortunate to have a company that supports food safety in a way that allows us to offer this course quite often. And we have, any of you that have been in our stores have several people who go through this course, and it's not just a single, certified food protection manager in our store. There's multiple, almost all the leaders in the store will have this. And then, department SOPs. So everyone has standard operating procedures, but we really do use those as a training mechanism for our store teams, and just trying to get us all on the same page and be consistent. And then with technology, and this is where I'll spend majority of the time, is resources. We have something called the Hub, which is our learning management system, and then virtual trainings, and then we do use videos. So I'm going to start off a little bit by just mentioning, I think COVID, as you and I all know, this really spiraled us into the virtual learning, and just utilizing video and using some of these technologies that we didn't maybe use as frequently prior to COVID are now just kind of normal mainstream. So some of the major ways that we use technology are our learning management system called the Hub, QR codes, which you guys were using earlier today. And then we do virtual training, just because we are Wisconsin. I mean, it's the entire state-based company. We can't be in all 41 stores at the same time. So we use virtual trainings as a component to get our information out to the store teams. And those, and I'll talk a little bit more about them, but those are just some of the examples that we use. I'm going to start with the Hub. So the Hub is like basically exactly what it is. It's our hub for training. And there's videos, there's interactiveness. The best part about the Hub is it kind of gamifies all of these components. So you can see my scores. You can see we get rewards points. Every day you can go in and do a daily question. And it ranges from food safety to workplace safety to just general culture questions. I think today I answered questions on very specific meat department, how many brats do we have in a package and those things. So it's also operationally driven, which is really nice. It gives you a good variety, but there is a big food safety component to this. And I'll show you some examples of that as we move forward. And so this is an example of some of the games you can play. So what you do is you select a game, you go in, and as you're playing the game, these questions pop up. For example, today I played the sushi game. It's similar to Fruit Ninja. And, if you, it prompts you, a question comes up and you have to answer it. And then obviously if you get it correct, you obtain these points, and those points twice a year can be used to win gift cards and PTO and some other really fun things. So, and it's incentive, and you're also learning at the same time. You kind of forget that, which is really nice. It's a good way to get even not just food safety, but company-wide information that we should know. And it's fun to learn at the same time. So food safety specific, I pulled some training videos that we use. Like I said, this is all centered out of the hub. This is an example of that top photo with the fresh meat sign. That is Steph. Steph does a short video. This one just so happens to be on shell stock. So after you watch these training videos, these are the similar type of questions that you would get playing a game, which would pop up. And those questions, you answer it. You can pick whether you're confident, low, medium, or high. I usually always pick high, hoping I get it right. And then that's how your points are calculated at the end. And there's usually about 8 questions per video. Again, this is something you can do every day, and they encourage it. You are allowed as an associate to spend time on these, and it is encouraged. So it's a good way to get food safety training out to the store teams. There's also a mechanism on the back end. If someone has a question or it says maybe it's not clear what the intention of that question is, they can actually submit that to us so we can review these and make sure that they're up to date and accurate with what's actually occurring in our stores. And then virtual trainings. So again, with COVID, this kind of spiraled, and we've utilized this quite a bit more. We use them, fresh departments, so produce, deli, just, sanitation type, food safety related in those departments. And we also do it with temperature monitoring. So we have a system that monitors our refrigeration and freezer equipment in the entire store, both walk-ins, reach-ins, you name it, anything that is refrigerated or frozen has 24/7 monitoring. And there is some training that has to go along with that. We have leads in our stores that are kind of our eyes and ears on the store level. And we provide training to them 4 times a year. It's we call it the Digi Leads training. And that is a virtual training. It is a live training, meaning we're interacting, having conversations back and forth. And the store teams can attend those. They do attend those. And then twice a year, we also do third shift training. We have third shift stockers in our stores, and they also, they're there when power outages happen. Sometimes it's at night. So we also provide that training in the evening to make sure we're kind of encompassing all of the people all of the associates that are in our stores, and making sure they're getting adequate training related to exactly what they're doing. So what the Digi Leads get is a more in-depth version versus, a third shift team. We really focus on, if something happens, here's what you do, and maybe go over a few scenarios. So it's nice to have that interactiveness. We use things called Menti, which actually allows some interaction as far as polls, and you can gather information, people can ask questions, and it's live right there at your fingertips while you're doing the training. And then integrating third-party training into our learning management system. This is something that we're currently working on. We have Ecolab as a partner of ours, a vendor partner, and Lobster Inc. comes along with that. They have a lot of information, resources, courses, learning tools, anywhere from a 30-second TikTok video to a multi-step certification that more senior leadership in the stores could take, things like hand washing basics that, any associate could have. Also full courses on food safety culture that maybe, someone who's a senior leader in the stores could take and get that certification. So this is something that we're looking at and working with right now and trying to figure out what tiers of training belong to which associates at what level. And, like I said, it's they have a lot of resources. So getting this integrated into our already existing training programs, and then also getting that on the hub, which is that portal that majority of our training lives on currently. And then lastly, I just want to talk a little bit. I know this is on technology, but I do want to talk a little bit about regulatory partnerships. We do partner with regulatory agencies by opening our doors for the next generation of food safety professionals. That can be through standardization practices, serving on committees, such as AFTO or WEHA or any of the other ones out there, CFP, and then also outreach activities. And I wanted to put this photo in here. This is something we did in November. And this is just kind of an extension of our food safety and not just training our store teams and our associates and our team internally, but also training the public. So we partnered with the City of De Pere Health Department. If you look at the photo on the far right, that's Trista. She's there, a longtime friend of mine and colleague of mine, and she is the environmental health specialist for that region, for that city. So we did a joint event with them, and it was really fun to be in front of one of our stores and have food safety information for the guests coming in and out. Just so happened to be Veterans Day, so it was super busy, which was awesome. So just getting that, same information out into the community. And as I mentioned earlier, Festival Foods is very, very ingrained in every community that their stores are in. So this also just supports our mission and our vision as a company. But it also is getting that information that we are telling our store associates, in the store related to food safety, but we're also taking that and putting it out into the community. And just, it was very well received. We had a lot of we debunked a lot of myths that day, but we had a really good time with that partnership and reaching out to the community. It was a great event. It was a little chilly, but other than that, we had a really good time. So a little different take on reaching out, and that is actually all I have. I wanted to leave some time for questions, so I left about 8 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
So Laura, it looks like Adam has a question for you. How long has Hub and all the virtual training been used? And have you seen an impact on your audits and or inspections?
So I am fairly new to the company, so I don't have an exact answer for you, but I can get back to you on that. I don't know if there's a direct correlation. I think that would be really hard to make. I think there's a lot we do, whether it's in-store assessments, the hub, just all the resources we have and all the live trainings we do. It obviously makes an impact. I don't know if just taking that one, it would be able to determine whether it decreases or affects, the outcome of things. I think it's like the whole package, I guess, that I know is impactful. When you have stores reaching out with questions or you're doing an assessment, and those are very, the store teams are asking you very specific food safety clarification questions that a person who's not well trained wouldn't even be asking you. That's kind of like the solidification that, like, okay, what we're doing is actually working. Or some associates will tell you flat out, I saw this on the hub, or I had a question about this, or we were working on this, or I was reviewing this policy with a new associate and this question came up. So I think it's a combination of everything we do for training that impacts our organization and just our food safety culture. I don't know if the hub necessarily, or if there's a way to actually like take some of that out and say specifically, this is on Sinji commented for me. So there you go. It's
yes.
7 years. So it's it's not just food safety. So there are other components in the hub too. So it's more general company driven. But I think just any amount of exposure to food safety training that we can provide and making different formats for it, whether it's paper, whether it's in person, whether it's live, whether it's, the hub, I think those are what make it actually, I think that it's like the full package, and that's what impacts our stores and their food safety culture. So
Joanne is wondering, can we play one of the games?
I actually was trying to see if I could somehow record myself, and I'm not tech savvy enough to figure it out, but I already did mine for the day. So I don't know if I could go back in and do it. But there's, if on this previous slide, it showed, I think there's like Simon, like basically a fruit ninja, it's with sushi. And then there's a memory game. That's my favorite. And we challenge each other, and we try and make it fun for us too, we have like a little Olympics during the year to try and see who gets the most points. So it just makes it more fun, I guess, than just reading a piece of paper. So we have a good time with it. But
I have a couple of questions.
yeah.
Employees excited about the games and the training and how they're doing it?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because our store teams will, gosh, I was just at a store the other day and they wanted a clarification. It was just a very specific question. And we get emails sent to us. So the person who oversees the hub will send us questions. They can, like I said, they can flag it if there's a confusion or if whatever, they can flag it, and then those get sent to us and we review them as a team. And one of them was our policy is stricter than the code, and they were questioning, they wanted to just make sure what the code said versus what our policy said, and just like a clarification. So they do take it as it's important to them. And it is, those questions are very specific to our company. They obviously include food code related requirements, but then we also spell out the internal policies that we have. So they do take it seriously, and they do utilize it because they bring it up, and we get emails, through the person who oversees the hub, but also just in our stores. And then certified food protection manager training. A lot of really great questions come out of those, and those are live. Those are in person. So Sinji was here in Milwaukee Market. We just held courses here last week. So those are really great avenues to kind of hear the questions, or, where do you need training? And it's usually very store specific. So if someone says, and that's what our whole team, besides Sinji and I, there are 3 food safety team members that go into the stores and do those internal assessments. And that's where you really get the good questions. And when we bring those back and talk about them as a group. And sometimes it's as little as just having a conversation and doing a little coaching or some education. And sometimes it requires a policy change because we didn't identify something that was going on in the stores that we needed to address. So that's the best part of, people always say, well, how was that changed to industry? Did you love it? And my favorite part about industry is in regulatory, I loved coaching, education. I mean, all of that is very similar. It's what we do in industry when we do internal assessments. And it is, risk-based, it is educational, but my favorite part is that we can find the root cause and we can solve it. Whereas when I was in regulatory, I would often say, here's some suggestions, but I can't see you through, like, I can't stand here and help you and write you a policy and those things. In this, we're able to do that. We have an issue. Let's talk about it. We work with the fresh teams, and we work with, the leadership out of the support office to create solutions that not only work best for the organization opportunity for the company, but also are aligned with food safety. So that is probably my favorite part of this, is just being able to have that opportunity. So.
Yeah. So you mentioned that they get to actually spend some time during the workday doing this. How much time do they get to spend?
Oh, you get one question a day. So I don't know. It doesn't take that. It doesn't take that long. I would say maybe 5 minutes.
Okay.
If I just do the one, It's 8 questions, and the games are timed, so you can't spend 4.5 minutes on one question or on one. The games are timed, so you run out of time. And some of the games, I think most of them, if you play it, you get it right, then you get more time. So I mean, in total, I think it's maybe about 5 minutes. And they encourage it. They encourage you um, to go on the hub and log in and look at all the resources available. They have important announcements on there. So sometimes it's just reminding folks of maybe something we need to, or the associates of something we need to be doing in the stores, how we greet people, or sometimes that's like the first thing that pops up. And then you watch this video on that, and then you play a game after that. So I would say in total, people are spending maybe 5 minutes, if that. But they do encourage it because it's a great way to get information across. So
Yeah. Joanne had another question. Was it hard to transition from regulatory to industry in the beginning?
I mean, I still talk to everyone in regulatory there. I mean, I did it for so long. It was not hard for me. I would say the hardest part is just you are part of a business, and the business has a direction they need to go. And I'm not saying that direction is like ignore food safety. That's not what happens. But you have to, when you're making solutions or offering suggestions, like you don't want to tell someone you need to clean a slicer at noon that's when you have to break it down, because that's what we're telling you. That's not being cognizant of store operations. So you have to understand that, okay, I need to take the slicer and clean it and sanitize it and break it down and assemble it back together. But you don't do that during the busiest time of the day. That would be not easy for the store. They're more likely to not do it. So that's just working with the operations team and making sure that the asks that you're doing and coming to a consensus is what is meeting the intent of the food code, and then also meeting the intent of the business operations. And I think it's not hard at all. It's actually really, really rewarding when you can take food safety and then you're also teaching the operations team about it, and you're incorporating both their needs and ours together. And that is, I think that it's not hard to do, but that's, I think, the most interesting part of it. And I think maybe that is, if anyone makes that transition, your focus is a little different. It's not just strictly the food code. You also have this other aspect of when you're implementing things, how those things need to look on the back end. But in my opinion, I think that's the fun part, because it is also the most rewarding, because it's a success with two parties, making it happen. So, and I'm very grateful for our fresh teams. They very often reach out before they put things in place, and we can work together. They know that, okay, this is going to affect food safety. I'm going to reach out to the team or reach out to Josh or Amanda and Andrew and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this. Can you help us? Or can we work together? Can I send this your way before I implement it? And that's really awesome. That's true food safety culture, because that doesn't have to happen. They could just do something and not ask us.
Yeah. Food safety culture, right?
So there's a real example of how it exists in a store.
Yes.
And that starts at the top. So you will not find senior leadership walking into a department without wearing some type of hair restraint. So it's little things like that top down culture exists. And I'm very grateful for it. So.
Well, thank you, Laura. I am going to put in a little plug for the AFTO industry training that is industry geared for food safety culture, active managerial control. Maybe we can get that and bring it to Wisconsin here one of these days. Wink, wink. All right. Yeah. Well, Laura, it has been very interesting how Festival Foods is training your staff. I thank you very much for joining us, and we are going to move on now to the agenda. So next up we have Joanne. So Joanne, feel free to pop on to the camera. And I know Joanne did make a comment here too about hiring some industry folks. Yeah, sometimes people have a hard time changing hats. All right, Joanne, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before you get started? And again, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joanne. Thank you, Carrie. I'm Joanne Strong Mercado. I'm from Marion County. I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. And today I'm just going to be presenting you a presentation that was a training gap that we had in our office, and happy to share it with you. A little bit about myself. I'm a Hoosier native. I've been in this job about almost 13 years, and I really love doing this. I was a district inspector, then I was the educator, and then I was process specialist to the trainer, and now I'm a supervisor. So I've had a lot of little internal promotions working my way up. Go ahead and get started. So a little bit about Indiana. If you're unfamiliar, we're here in the Midwest. This is where Indiana is. This is what our county looks like. Oh, oops. So for us, we license about maybe close to 6,000 retail food establishments. I'm gonna go to the next slide. Wanted to talk about the environmental public health tracking system. So CDC has a grant for this, and we're one of the recipients. We're the only local jurisdiction that has this, and it's basically a tracking portal, so that way you can find our information easier about food inspections or pools or asthma or anything like that, anything public health related. So you want to check that out, you can. In our office, this is how our office is built. We've got the health department, we have 2 bureaus, one for environmental health, which is us, pools, hazmat, and then we have population health, which is more the clinical side, like WIC and TB and refugees. And on our team, we have about maybe close to a staff of 30, about 20 field inspectors, 2 front desk, about 4 supervisors, 10 specialists, and the admin. It does need to be updated, but I think we're getting close to 6,000. We are the largest county in Indiana, with restaurants being, the highest percentage of our licensees. We do have a large growing food truck market, and we probably have close to 500 right now. If you're only looking at ethnic food establishments, we have maybe about 684. About 150 of those are about food trucks or different cultures. And then we have about 30 annual temporary events that are, Irish Fest or Greek Fest or anything like that. We have lots of different types of establishments that I'm sure that your jurisdiction also sees a lot of. We've got these types of markets, and these aren't like your, casual American Chinese style establishments. These are, we have Ethiopian groceries and Ethiopian restaurants. We have Nigerian, Burmese, Indian, Pakistani, and just to name a few of these, we have Thai restaurants. These are not Thai American, these are Thai restaurants. Or we've got, a Peruvian restaurant. So if anybody wanted to share in the chat what kind of ethnic food establishments you guys have, it'd be kind of fun to see what else is out there that maybe, that we don't see here in Indy, but you see in your jurisdiction. It'd be kind of interesting to share. But I'm going to go ahead and get started with the actual toolkit. This is what we use for our staff. So benefits of using this is that, when we're doing training, you're being exposed to lots of different types of establishments. And then we would take a field trip at one of the international grocery stores, looking at the different types of foods, talking about it, so that way they could see it. And then they're released, they're on their own. And it's not that we expect them to know everything, but the field trip itself is not enough. And so the confidence level of the inspectors just wasn't there. And they were asking the basic questions to the operator and learning from the operator and trying to assess if this is a TCS food or not. Is this going to make someone sick? So this toolkit is really meant to help you be prepared before you go. It introduces different types of foods to the inspector at their own pace. So I'm sitting in the office, I'm studying before I go. I'm reading the last routine inspection, I'm looking at the menu online. Now I'm a little bit more prepared. Visual aids. I've got videos and pictures built into this, so that way you're seeing it, a general idea of what it is in the office before you actually go out and see it in the field. Information sharing. When you're in training mode, I'm giving you lots and lots of information, And sometimes it's just overload. The other thing is when you're in training, you don't always see what I need to tell you then and there because I don't see that opportunity. And sometimes when you don't see certain things, you forget to mention it. And so the information sharing is really meant to tell you so that way I don't forget. And that way, you know, again, before you go. And just examples of field documentation. So if you don't know what an SOP looks like, you at least have an example of what you're looking for before you ask them, where's your SOP on this? I have pictures of violations, things that we've already seen that you would be familiar as a new inspector. Oh, this is not a brand new thing. We've seen this before. This is totally a violation. So I've categorized it or organized it with different types of foods. And so I've got a table of contents, the kind of link to each slide by their country of origin. There are YouTube videos, so there's pictures and videos. The YouTube videos are just homemade videos. There aren't food safety focused, but it just gives you the information, what you need to know. So you have the general idea of what they're trying to do, what kind of ingredients that they are using, and the general processes that they are using. And I understand that, you know, when you're doing studying and learning about different things, you can't really afford to sit down and watch 30 minutes of something being prepared. So all the videos that have been picked are generally less than 7 minutes. There's also a pronunciation of the word. So when you're at a Middle Eastern establishment, you're saying hummus properly. You're saying gyro properly. You're saying shawarma properly. So that way you're on the same level with the operator and you're not mispronouncing it and then totally having a misunderstanding because we said something wrong. Because they'll say, oh, we don't have that. When they do, but you may have mispronounced it. And then just again, reinforcing information, there's additional resources. Because if you need more information or anything like that, there's peer-reviewed articles, and those are at the end. I'm going to share with you an app. This is a totally free app created by the Center of Agricultural and Food Security Preparedness. So it's a free app. This is the icon. You can download it in your Play Store or your Google Play Store and look for it. If you have a flip phone, you might not be able to download it because you've got an older phone, I have found, but you should generally be able to find it if you Google search or search cultural food safety. The thing is that this is really helpful for you in the field if you need to know something now. The difference is that the PowerPoint or this toolkit is meant to help you study before in advance before you go out. But if you feel stuck, you can use the app right then in the field to give you the information that you need to know now about their food safety procedures, what types of controls that they should have in place. The other thing is that this training toolkit is a living and breathing document, so it can always be updated with adding new menu items and cultures and things like that. Whereas the app, I haven't seen it be updated in a while. So it could be totally customizable to your jurisdiction if you wanted a copy of this. This is what our inspectors actually see. So they'll click on this. The thing about this is that it's not a traditional PowerPoint slide where you transition to the next slide, to the next slide, to the next slide. You're welcome to jump around, and each of these are linked. I have put buttons in here so that way, you know, I'm going to go to a Japanese restaurant. I can just open this up, refresh my mind only on the Japanese, and I'm good to go. Or you can go through every single one at your pace. It's up to you. So that way you don't have to like go find the slide, you know, hitting the back button every time. There's always a home page and you can click on each of the links. So I'm going to click on faith-based real quick. This is what your general slide is going to look like. It's going to have links to the different types of foods associated with this menu item. It's going to be a little mini quiz because we always want to reinforce information. You do have the pictures. Each of the pictures are going to be hyperlinked to those YouTube videos. And if there's going to be any special notes, it will be here. So if I'm going to go do a kosher kitchen, I'm going to go do an inspection at one of these facilities. I'm going to click on it. Then it's going to take you to a different slide. And this is the template, the standard template that you're going to see for each of the menu items. So you see the pronunciation button here. And it'll pronounce it for you. What it is, main ingredients, how it is made, what the EHS should look for, and if there are any special notes. So if you've never done a kosher kitchen, you're more likely going to see two sets of kitchens, because in that culture, they don't believe in mixing meat and dairy. To them, that's cross-contamination. So asking permission to make sure they have a thermometer in place, but using theirs, because you can't use your thermometer if they don't want you to, because it's contaminated, because you use your thermometer to check all kinds of foods. I'm done reading this. I go back and it takes me back to here. So if I click on halal, you'll see the same standard table here. Pronunciation. And I see all the information I'm looking for. Special note. I have two notes here. This actually happened to me. I was going to go do a kosher kitchen. I did not know this. I had a rabbi there who wanted to observe my inspection. Said, "Hi, I'm Joanne from the health department." I extended my hand to shake hands to, say hello. And then there was another person there who said, "Oh, rabbis can't touch a woman." Okay. Then we went on. I felt a little embarrassed because I felt like maybe to them that was common knowledge, but to me it wasn't. And so I just put this in there so that way you know. So then I've studied all of I'm going to go to the quiz. It's just, again, to reinforce the information. Eating lobster and pulled pork is considered kosher. Is this true or false? And then I give you the answer. False. Lobster and pork are not kosher. They don't eat pigs, and lobster is a shelled fish. So they eat fin fish, but they don't eat any shellfish. Eating a meat that has been killed by a Muslim is halal. True or false? True. And that's kind of about it. There really isn't anything that's too long. It just kind of helps you reinforce the information. And then I can click on a picture. It'll take you straight to a YouTube. Let me see if I can do it real quick. Let me stop sharing this one and let me share the video so that way you can see that. Okay. Okay, I'll stop sharing that. Okay. So then I go back to my table of contents and I have them here. I can jump to Vietnamese if I want. And I see the same thing. I see the menu items listed here. Some of the slides will have extra videos just in case you make things in-house so that you have a general idea. And then I have pictures of everything that you might see. If you look, I really just picked the high
Joanne?
volume foods. Oh, yes.
Are you sharing your slides? We don't see the slides.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, let me try again.
There
Harry,
we
is that
go.
good? Okay, thank you. Let me back up a little bit. So I was at the faith-based one. Then I go back because I've done this. If you click on this kosher versus non-kosher, this is allow video. It'll take you to another video. If I wanted to jump around, I'll go to Vietnamese and I see the same list of menu items. Some of the videos or some of the slides may have extra videos because if sometimes they make them house made, then you'll need to know how they do it. And if you look at the different types of foods, I've only picked things that were kind of high volume. I don't put every single type of food that you would normally find. I just pick things that are high volume. Let's see. So some of the other special features that I have, taking this, comparing it to the app, is pictures of violations. So if I go to equipment, totally unapproved. I've got a handmade utensil with 3 nails, hammered into a piece of wood that they use for chicken. Not a commercial ANSI approved utensil. So that's something that a new inspector might not be familiar with. They might get confused or, believe the operator that this is an approved utensil. If I wanted to see what an SOP is, here's an SOP. This is the time of the public health control SOP. It's not what not all SOPs have to look like this, but it has all the right information that you're able to log the time and that you retain the information. It has all the steps, and that way you know what you're looking for. Additional videos are listed here, different types of food. And then I think I had one more that I wanted to show you. Nope, I wanted Middle East. So here, this word here. So as an example of pronouncing the same word, so that way when you're talking to the operator, you're being polite that you are saying it properly. Can I see your gyros? And they might not know what you're talking about because what you're really referring to is the euros. That's just another example of kind of being culturally sensitive or being humble in that you are being able to say it the same way. So that way you're on the same level. So knowing before you go, knowing and understanding what they're trying to do, I think this will kind of help bridge that relationship. Maybe they're a little bit more honest with you because now you have an idea of what they're trying to do, that you know what the beginning and the end process looks like. You're familiar with the ingredients, and that way you're not asking them to tell you how to do it. So that way you can figure out, okay, is this safe or is this not safe? That this kind of prepares you before you go. I'm going to share the additional resources here. There's lots of different resources. If you want to look at menu items or recipes, I've got some AFTO resources, issues and concerns with imported foods. There's the app, how to use the app, the FDA Oral Culture Learner, and things like that. So I think I've got some time. I think that's about all I've had for you. Crash course. Any questions? Or was there anything in the chat?
Well, I know I'm very interested in it as well. And somebody said, how do we get our hands on the toolkit?
Okay. That's a good question. That is the most popular question. So this is a totally free resource. I made this because it was obviously something that we recognized that we needed. And I didn't realize like other people needed it. So it's too big to share in an email. I have saved this in Food Shield. So I need you to email me so that I can invite you to the group on Food Shield, and there you can download it. This is a PowerPoint. And if you're not familiar with how to make buttons or connecting all the slides together, they have a Word document tutorial on how to do that. So that way you can take this and make it your own. So, looking forward is I'd like to make a master. I share this with everybody that wants it. They add their own unique cultures. We don't have a lot of German here. And so if you've got a really dense German population or German establishments, and then you take it, you could send me the information and I'll put it together. And, at some point I'll have all different kinds of establishments that are seen all over, and share that. I think that'd be kind of cool to take what everybody else has added and, make one big one.
Awesome. So, Joanne, do you want to put your, I see if everybody, we'll leave that slide up for a second. So folks can either jot down her email, otherwise we can maybe get it in the chat as well. FYI, I think you should be able to save meeting chats. So there is some information in here. If you click on the 3 buttons on the chat, there's an option to save the chat. So if you want to do that.
I'm not sure if that works for everyone. Sorry, I was trying to figure that out myself. If you want to go ahead, Joanne, and type it in so they can like literally copy paste or click on it and do a email just right where we're talking, because what I'm about to talk about, they can still type while listening to what I'm saying. So
Yes.
and I think Shauna put in, Carrie, that link to the Google Play Store because they were having trouble finding that app. So I'm going to say this, Joanne, this is really awesome because in the field you can use the app, right? But when you're sitting at your computer, this is like so much better. And you took the time with a lot of the things that are in the app and put it in a usable way, because I'm getting older and I don't want to look at my phone all the time. So,
Mhm,
and it's changeable, like you said. So I love this. Thank you for
mhm.
sharing. And I'm going to do a tiny little plug that you're going to be doing a webinar on this later in the year. I think we saved a date for October.
Mhm.
So if, you know, you want to be on a lookout for that, Joanne's going to help and do a little bit longer presentation about it. Give you a little more guts, but we wanted to give you a taste of it. So will you
And
be
I'll be
also
at,
doing something at
I will be
conference?
at APTO. We're
Yes.
doing a tabletop roundtable exercise.
Awesome.
I was gonna say thank you, Autumn, for bringing Joanne to my attention, and she's gonna be at one of our retail track. Thank you, Joanne. Nice meeting you. I know we have a meeting here in a couple weeks, but yeah, I'm very excited to have her at our cultural food presentation at APTO.
Awesome. She's great. Joanne's awesome. Thank you, Joanne, for helping us get the word out, because you did all of this work and we love that you're sharing all of your hard work. So we have about 8 minutes left. If you guys want to type some questions for Joanne in the chat, maybe she can grab those while I'm finishing up, because the committee is not going to meet again. So I want to make sure that I get this finishing stuff for everyone. Carrie, can you see my screen?
Yep, sure can.
Fabulous. So for all of you that are not on our committee, we want you to join. I think that we're better in committee and gathering more resources. The more people we have, the more heads in the game, right? So these were this is our mission to identify existing food protection educational resources in multiple language and compile the resources into an accessible way to find them. And that's our website, AFTO's website. And we wanted to make it available to inspectors in the field. Like Carrie mentioned, she's used it in the field in her inspections. So these charges that our committee is on or has handled this year is on the website. So I'm not going to go into great detail on these on this slide, because I'm going to show you here in detail that this year we've been working on this for a few years. The languages listed here in black are the ones this year that we prioritized based on AFTO's president requesting that we look at the ones that aren't highly represented. And so we worked really hard this year and focused on 27 languages that had 14 records or less to that particular language. And we increased the resources by 60 or more in these specific languages. Sometimes we found more in other languages, but these were our focus this year. We used the World Health Organization website to verify the changes in terms of languages that were made. So we might have had 2 different language names that we found out really are the same or highly related. And so we combined some and made sure that we were representing them well. We've really exhausted all of our leads to the language internet searches. I know there's more out there. I ran across some Rhode Island resources just today on Food Shield that we don't have on our website. So it'll be a constant look for new resources, but we feel that as a group, we've kind of exhausted that. Let's see. But we feel that we've done a really good job of adding more resources to the ones that were underrepresented. Charge 2 was evaluating the structure of the resources to best meet the needs of the user. We have a software that Steve is constantly working on to check broken links. And we've organized all of the resources that we have into buckets. And I know I've talked about this before with people that have been on our committee, but for those that don't know, I wanted you to understand that the resources that have a ton of different items we put into buckets, so that way you don't have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and they're more organized into topic with expandable drop down menus. So just know that there's at least seven languages that we have this way: Arabic, Chinese, English, Korean, Somali, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And so we have an English counterpart to every one that is translated, so that if you speak English, you'll know what you're getting. So there's also an area that says multi-language, because there are some resources that have all the different languages on one sheet. So you're going to find that under the multi-language option rather than the individual language itself. Charge 3 was to market and distribute the list of resources to our regulators. Now, this is something that is ongoing because I don't even know the number. I know that AFTO's done some research and number counting as to how many regulators are out there, but there's no way that we can get to everyone, and not everyone's going to know about it. So please spread the word that this is out there for inspectors to use. Obviously, industry can use it too if they want, but it's intended for regulators to be able to communicate with their people that they are educating. So we have had 1,041 hits on the resource page since June of 23. Now, those numbers were figured a couple months ago, so hopefully we've had more. The average time spent is just under 1 minute for each resource. But if someone's looking this up to print it, or someone's looking it up to see if it's something applicable to what they're looking for, they're not going to spend much time on each document. The most visited language is Spanish with the 90% of our hits. But I think that if we can get the word out to those that need it for other languages, they'll understand that this is out there. We sent marketing cards, the ones we showed you at the beginning of the meeting, to our AFTO affiliates. So NFDOA, WAFTO, AFDOS, NC AFTO, McAFTO, and hopefully I got it to CASA this week. We had that there to hand out. And then we're also, this advertisement that's here on the right-hand side was our advertisement that was in the booklet a couple years ago for AFTO conference. This year it's being redesigned, and hopefully you'll see a new advertisement in the book. So that way people that go to conference can take that back, hopefully, and spread the good word about all the resources that we have accumulated. So what's important is that I want to make sure that I hear from our committee members that we need new charges, or if you have suggested new charges, we're open ears for that, because we're going to have to suggest those here in the next couple of weeks. One thing that our committee has felt like is that we feel that videos are underrepresented. And so we're really wanting 20 to 30-second videos that are in length to train the current workforce. And that our committee is interested in producing short videos of food safety topics that haven't already been covered in a video format. There are some in there already, so we don't want to do them again. We're interested in outsourcing. So the only thing is we have to find funding. And there is one of our committee members that was really great in offering up some of his services. Always Safe Food has offered to help with these. But obviously we want to get some funding and experience and recommendations, and not just put it all on them. We believe charges 2 and 3 should probably stay the same, which is making sure it's functional for the user, and that we have to market it. So think about that. If there's some charges here at the end, you can stay on and let me know. Our next committee meeting is in September. And so if you'd love to join our committee, we would really love to have you. Use this QR code to join us. It'll send you to the AFTO website to sign up. You'll be sent emails from me. We have a subcommittee that's been working within our committee, so like doing some busy work. So if you want to be on the committee to stay in the know, that's great. If you want to be, no, you don't have to be an AFTO member to be on the committee. Great question, Joanne. You can be on the committee to stay in the know, or you can be on the committee to help us gather resources. So whichever way you want to do it, that's totally fine. Just having you with us feels like a win to me, because that will help us get the word out. I believe that's all I have, other than you probably want to see the, forgive me for going like way back. I don't know a faster way to do it. There we go. There is the QR code, so that way you can get on our website. It's under the resources tab on the AFTO website. So what question does everyone have? I can't even see everyone's faces anymore.
Adam, I have, oh, sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
I am wondering if you guys or anybody is working on making sure their documents are ADA compliant, because we have laws in our state that have took effect. And so if we ever link to anything, we have to make sure
Yeah.
still
I don't know if that's a
learning
great-
this.
great question.
But I think that that's, something that we need to make sure we're kind of thinking about in the future. If we have, I mean, you guys might be held liable at some point. I don't know if AFTO.
So
at the federal level.
these resources are not ours, and it's stated on our resource thing. And so if anyone has any trouble with the content or whatever, we list where it came from and how to reach those people. So, but I'm gonna write here, ADA compliant, and ask if there's a way that maybe we can indicate those that are. Somehow, I'm not really sure. I'll be looking into that. Maybe Steve can help me with that, but thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, you guys might want to check in with your lawyers to make sure you or your whoever you have that can look into that. I just
Mhm.
know that it's a very, very hot topic in our state, and I'm sure other states are gonna fall. I guess there's people out there that are like purposely looking for things that are not ADA compliant and suing jurisdictions. So,
Well, that's unfortunate. We're all trying to
So
just
you
do
know.
good work, right?
yeah.
Maybe that should be a charge on them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I got that down
And I
here.
don't understand it enough to like, I know what we're doing, but I don't understand enough to like look at it holistically and, on other websites or other places, right? So,
Yeah. No, that's good. Thank you.
Yes.
I was going back through my chat to make sure that there wasn't anything I missed. I don't see anything else. I know we're over time, so feel free to drop off if you want to, but I'll stay on for anyone that has any ideas if you want to unmute and talk to me about future charges. But either way, I'd love to see you all in September or at conference in June.
We'll be there.
Yes, we will.
Come find Autumn and I.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. I really appreciate your time and for
Yes.
showing up. You guys are awesome. Our speakers
Thank
were
you.
fantastic. I think we win the prize of best committee meeting.
thank you. This is great.
Thank you.